Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are the members of this group. We are from class group CS143-4C. We will presenting about application of Newton's first law in our real life. Title for this video is Application of the Newton's first law. Newton's law is a branch of mechanics. Mechanics is the study of motion of objects and the related concept of force and energy.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Nurhani Izzati binti Wahiruddin. So, let me tell you the introduction about Newton's law of motion. Newton's law is a branch of mechanics. Mechanics is the study of motion of objects and it related with concept of force and energy. Force produces or tends to produce acceleration or causes a free body to undergo a change in speed, a change in direction, or a change in shape. Force cannot be seen, but we are able to see and feel the effect. The unit that used for force is in Newton. Newton's law has three laws, which is Newton's first law of motion, Newton's second law of motion, Newton's third law of motion. Newton's first law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Next, the description of the application of Newton's first law. The motion cannot change or decrease without the effect of an unbalanced force. If nothing happened to you, you will not go anywhere. If you are heading in a certain direction or unless something happened to you, you will always go there forever. If the force produced the sum of the force vectors acting on the body is zero, then the velocity of the object is constant. If both magnitude and direction are constant, then the velocity of an object is constant. Next, the inertia in Newton's first law. The principle of inertia is one of the basic principles in classical physics that still used until today to describe the motion of things and how it affected by the force given to them. The term of inertia can be referred to as the amount of resistance of an object to change in velocity or its resistance to change in motion. This term includes change in the speed of an object or the direction of motion. One aspect of the property is the tendency of things to keep moving in a straight line at the constant speed, where there is no force affecting them. Then, this is the example for illustration. It is now proper to return to the first law of motion as formulated by Newton. A moving object will remain at rest, and a moving object will remain moving at a constant speed unless or until an external force acts on it. The first legal example is in this action are literally unlimited. One of the best illustrations, in fact, involves something completely beyond Newton's own experience.
Before I continue the presentation, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wan Amira Amalin binti Wan Azman. So I will start present from this slide. As you can see from the pictures, a car is driving down the highway. It tends to stay in motion unless some outside force changes its velocity. The latter phrase, though generally thought to be synonymous with speed, is really more specific. Velocity may be defined as the speed of an item in a specific direction. We assume that the car is driving or moving forward at a rate of 96 km per hour. Everything in the car, such as the driver, passengers, objects in the seat or in the luggage, will move forward at the same rate as the car. If the car ran into a brick wall, its movement would stop and quite abruptly. But even if its movement stopped in the split second after the crash, it still responded to inertia. Instead of bouncing off a brick wall, it will continue to break through into wall. So now we're going to your bedroom. Don't you think Then, what will happen to the people and objects in the car? They will also continue to move forward in response to inertia. Even they struggle to not move forward due to braking abruptly. Also, in the same time, the car was in high speed. Even though the car has been stopped by an external force, those inside it experience force indirectly, and within a short time after the car itself has stopped, the people and objects are continued to move forward, unfortunately directly through the dashboard or windshield, and that was very dangerous as it can be fatal or severe injury. Protective device in the car. It should also be clear from the example before why seat belts, headrests, and airbags in vehicles or in the car are so important. In the event of an accident, protective device will help us reduce suffering severely, but if someone is not using a seat belt or damaged airbag at that time, it is possible to be severe or fatal pain. With this protective device in the car, attorneys may file lawsuits regarding a claim injuries from airbag, and homespun opponents of the seatbelt may furnish a waste of anecdotal evidence concerning people who allegedly died in an accident because they were wearing seatbelts. Nonetheless, the law of the first motion is on the side of this protective device. And I just can't fight it.
Before we continue, first let me introduce myself. Assalamualaikum, my name is Azlina binti Abdul Razak. So now we continue with what happened if an outside force changing velocity or has done so too late. The gruesome depiction of a car hitting a brick wall assumes that the driver is not using the brakes. An example of external force that can speak or has done so too late. In any case, if the brake applied too abruptly, it can be dangerous. But again, the important factor here is the inertia. Like a brick wall, the brake stopped the car, but nothing stopped the driver or the passengers from moving forward, except for the protective gear, such as seatbelt to keep the person body in place, the airbag to help their breath, and headrest to prevent whipping on collision in the back.
Of amazing music out there for free. Yup, you heard it right. Most of their music is free and copyright.
Inertia in a car crash. Now I will explain what happens to a car when the driver makes a sharp and sudden turn. Suppose you are riding in the passenger seat of a car moving straight ahead when suddenly the driver turns left without a warning. Even when a car's tires spin instantly, everything in the vehicle, the frame, the tires and its contents still respond to the inertia, and therefore wants to move forward even when rotating to the left. As the car turns, the tires may respond to this shift in direction by screaming. The rubber surface moves forward, and with a sudden turn, the rubber slides across the pavement like a hard eraser on fine paper. The higher the original speed, of course, the more likely the tires will squeak. At a very high speed, there is a possibility that the car appears to be spinning on two wheels. That is two outer tires. In fact, maybe the original speed was very high and the turns were so sharp that the driver lost control of the car. More examples to understand the Newton's first law. The motion of a ball in a box can be explained by Newton's first law of inertia. For example, place the ball into a box, then gently push the box and after that immediately stop the box. The result is the ball keeps moving for a moment after the box has been stopped. According to Newton's first law, a moving object tends to remain moving unless followed by an unbalanced external force. So that's why the ball continues to roll even when the box has stopped. Another example is roller coaster. Roller coasters are ruled by the law of inertia. When starting a decline, it's going to keep moving in the same direction at a constant speed. However, that's not because of the threat at an external force that changes the direction of the roller coaster. If an object at rest stays at rest, at the beginning of the ride is a stationary roller coaster is at rest, it had to be pushed to get it started. Most are pull up a large hill called a lift hill. The first hill in a conventional roller coaster, there is always the biggest hill. As the cars go uphill, they will store potential energy. Once the cars are put into motion, they will not stop until the brakes are applied at the end of the ride. The cars will be slowed down until it's fully stopped. Because of the unbalanced force due to friction acting on them, the passengers, which have inertia, are also added on by unbalanced force while on the ride, causing them to change their motion. At the top of the riders will rise up in their seats, and at the bottom of hills, they are pushed down into their seats because of the impact. Inertia might even throw a passenger from the car, but thanks to the seat belts or safety bars, it is an unbalanced force. It holds the riders down to the seat. After the riders get to the bottom of the hill, the body is still moving downwards, but the seat starts to push back, holding their body in place. Going around turns the rider are aided on by the cars and seat belts and overcome inertia to halt the motion of the body from moving. From the example shown just now, it should be clear that inertia is a more complicated topic than you might think. Actually, inertia is a process is relatively simple, but confusion about its meaning has made it a complicated subject. Next is the summary. From the example of application of Newton's first law in real life just now, we can see that when a vehicle had a crash, its motion will be stopped. But even though its motion has stopped, in blink of an eye after the crash, it is still responding to the inertia. Rather than bouncing off the object, it will continue plowing into it. So it is crucial to have knowledge about Newton's law of motion, so we know how to reduce the impact when an accident happens. Learning Newton's law of motion is also important because they are the foundation of classical mechanics, one of the main branches of physics. Mechanics is the study of how objects move or do not move when force acts upon them. A lesson proving immovable object and unstoppable force are one and the same.
These are references for us to refer about the Newton's first law of the motion in our real life or in car crash. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you for watching.